In every color we unite, together we shine, bring the light. Through stormy weather, through the pain, with open hearts we'll break the chains. It's you and me, we'll stand so tall in the rainbow's embrace. We'll never fall. Hand in hand, we'll share the dream, a tapestry of love woven at the seams. With every hue our voice is strong, together is one, where we all belong. It's you and me, we'll rise above in the rainbow's embrace. We spread our love. In every corner of the earth we sing a symphony of hope that unity brings. With every color, let our love soar, together as one, forevermore.
Good evening and welcome to the Universal Rainbow Faith Church right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Paula Sadler and I am the founding minister and president here at Universal Rainbow Faith, and so delighted to be here with you tonight. And thank you for everyone who is watching and who will be watching this later. Welcome on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. We're so grateful for you to join us tonight, and hope everyone is doing wonderfully and just beautifully today. Our theme of the month as we close out June is sacred celebration and the power of joy in resistance. And our saint this month that we have been honoring all month long, one of our divine guardians who's on our universalrainbowfaith.org website, along with over a dozen others, is Saint Lucy Hicks Anderson, who we raise to the esteemed level of sainthood and divine guardian and protector of not only URF, but of our community. And with that, she has brought us the spiritual medicine and the message of the golden flame of integrity. Integrity within each individual and integrity within our community. This week's focus, we are focusing on wholeness in the fire and becoming fully ourselves. And this is reflected in our blog post, which we are taking and using those as inspiration and setting for our services as well. And we are in week 2 of the prayer, the prophecy, and the power. And that is also in our blog post as well. We are really excited to be doing this series. I hope you enjoyed our pre-service music. Every week, that is our Embracing Togetherness, our original song. And so welcome, everyone. We have our mission here at the URF. And let us look at that and say that together. Our mission statement. Universal Rainbow Faith is a sacred spiritual home where LGBTQIA+ people and allies are fully affirmed, celebrated, and protected. We believe that gender, love, and identity are divine expressions of the Creator. Our mission is to uplift, heal, and empower individuals through spiritual truth, radical inclusion, and sacred community. And so let's just take a few moments to center ourselves and let us breathe in joy and breathe out doubt. Let us breathe in freedom and breathe out fear. And so we have our announcements this week. We have a new guided meditation we're releasing today. That will be the Sacred Flame Within. And we have some new blog posts. And these are A Century Backward, the Supreme Court's Decision and Assault on Transgender Lives. We Were Trans Kids Once Too, A Message of Truth, Pain, and Unyielding Hope. I believe those were actually announced last week as well. And 3 new ones. We have our remote viewing vision with Trump, Netanyahu, and Ayatollah, with the biohazard, fire, and control as these underlying themes that you'll see when you read the post. When Love Was No More, a visionary parable from the edge of extinction. And also When Love Was No More, a prophetic lament of our times. So those are some of our latest blog posts. And our featured reading today from the Nature of Miracles. When you trust what's within you, really trust it, you stop begging the world to define you. You become free. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit religious organization. We are recognized in the state of Nevada and with the IRS, and we are a full public charity. And all of your contributions are tax deductible. We have new members and volunteers are welcome. Please contact us through Universal Rainbow Faith website. Please message us or on our social pages. We will get back with you on how that you can get involved. And ways to donate. We do have our donate tabs up on universalrainbowfaith.org. On the homepage, just click donate. There are various amounts or any amount that you choose. And we're still setting up our Tithely, so more to come on that as we have phased out using Zephy. And mark on your calendars to follow us so that you can get updates and alerts for our live stream every week, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and you can like, share, and follow. And please feel free also to make reviews so that we can start getting the word out more and more to a greater and greater audience. We do appreciate that. Please, so follow all of our socials. And also, please feel free to share all of our links. Also, please visit the website and view our blog post. And you can give a little heart to them for a like, and then also make comments so we can have a really vibrant and beautiful dialogue for our community and sharing of our views and our feelings with all of that. And remember, send in your prayer requests, join our mailing list online, invite a friend to attend our live stream and have a little live stream viewing party together. And remember, for this month of June of 2025, to let joy be your protest and truth your celebration. So let joy be our protest this month and truth our celebration, not only here in Las Vegas, but all throughout the country and all over the world as we think about our LGBTQ brothers and sisters in places like Hungary and Russia and China and the Middle East and so many places where there is such great oppression and there's great discrimination and prejudice and violence against our community and other minorities, and so many that are so undeserving of that. Let us be that change and let our joy uplift this world. And those are our announcements. And our reflection on our saint this month, we do have Saint Lucy Hicks. And As we're closing this month out, I would like to present to you to consider just reflecting tonight and tomorrow on Lucy's integrity, on her courage and joy as her sacred power, and how that is our power to live with integrity, to have courage in the face of adversity and resistance, and to let our joy be our sacred power from within, to never let anyone take our joy from us. And so, our affirmation ending this month with St. Lucy Hicks is, I am whole, my integrity is radiant. I am whole, and my integrity is radiant. Can you feel that? Can you feel that within? Can you feel the wholeness in every part of your being? And can you feel your integrity radiating from within, from that center of your heart, out into your family, with your friends, your employer, to this city, to the country, to the entire world, that you have that power to radiate out your integrity. And that is what is being called for and needed at this time, to cut through all illusion, all delusion, all oppression, and that we may be our authentic selves, and the world will be better for it. And we have a passage from the Nature of Miracles, as we announced in our announcements. Let us look at that one more time before we move on. Remember, when you trust what's within you, we talked about this, our integrity and that heart space. And I mean really trust it with complete 100% confidence. We stop begging the world to define us, because this world cannot define us. And we become free. And our affirmation, my spirit is sovereign, my light is enough. My spirit is sovereign, my light is enough. And so it is. We have something very special today before we go into our message, and the title of our talk today is Wholeness in the Fire and Becoming Ourselves Fully. And we're going to go into that, but I want to share with you today, I visited Unity Church, in which I've been a member for many years, and I get such wonderful spiritual inspiration every Sunday. And I've been going there on Rancho now at their location for quite a few years. Just a wonderful, inclusive spiritual community, with being a prayer-centered community, offering prayer support, new thought, affirmations, and through the principles of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, founded in the late 1800s. Just a dynamic and beautiful space with loving souls, and an inclusive space where all are welcome, of every gender and nationality and every religion. Everyone can be there because it is so universal. And we need those special places like that, just like the Universal Rainbow Faith. This is a place where everyone is welcome. And you don't have to conform, you don't have to believe in anything. You can just come and be you. You can take in all that we're offering. You can be in this space, this digital space right now that we're offering, and to be just being you, and growing and absorbing and taking in something that you can take with you into the rest of this night, into the days ahead, into the week ahead, that you can bring into the world to make your life a better place and to make this world a better place. And it is real, and it is true, and it is happening right now in this moment with you viewing and watching. There's an energy that is being transmitted out. There is an energy from you being received in, and there is an energy that we have together that is gently and beautifully an outpouring of love from our hearts that is going out from this space. And we claim that with our very first service on March 31st this year, and that intention has been set, and it is powerful. And we are making changes that are helping this world to heal in all the ways in which it needs to heal. And so in the latest wave of news and all of these things that have been happening, I recently did a remote viewing session, which is really kind of a precognitive type of technique. Some people may call it astral travel or astral projection. Some may call it remote viewing. Some may simply call it intuition. You may see it in a dream or in a vision. But it's a practice I've had for many years, and I've decided to share more and more of that special intuitive gift that I have been honing with a greater and greater clarity and quickness. And the remote viewings that I've had, some have been very poignant over the past few years, and I've received not only confirmation of what I've seen in the practice that I have as truly being completely accurate and verifiable. And that comes from many years of practice of meditation, prayer, affirmation, and using a technique as well for the remote viewing. So I have a new blog post about the truth behind what's happening in the Middle East right now. And everything comes back to being spiritual. It's like, well, is this political? Is this religious? Is this whatever? No, actually, everything is spiritual. And it's playing out in this physical realm, in this physical world that we're in. But we are spiritual beings, and this is, the kind of the playground, the classroom of life that we're in, how it's playing out physically. And in the spiritual realm, and in terms of what I saw, I wanted to know the truth between Israel, between Iran and the United States. And so in my remote viewing session, I saw President Trump standing in a pool of very shallow water up to his shoes. There were holes in the ground. The water had been contaminated, and there were springs under the ground that were contaminated. There was a biohazard symbol hanging in the background with plumes of red smoke, and maybe that was from the missiles, maybe that was from fire. And then I got the feeling that there was, what all that was being done was perfectly orchestrated and planned, and that there was also more going on, that it wasn't just about any kind of uranium enrichment. And so I had to really look it up and look at the history. And when we learn the story of the history of a thing, we begin to know what it really is. I want to imagine your life. You come into the life, into the world, you live your life. Say you're 70 years old, you're 80 years old. Maybe you start suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. You can't remember anymore. Maybe all your family's passed away, and you're there in the nursing home or living by yourself, maybe with a friend or home healthcare worker, and you can't remember everything. Maybe also most of all your history and things that you have been destroyed, and they no longer exist. And what a tragedy that would be not to know your own story, and also the world and everyone that knew you. They were gone. And so there was no more history and an understanding of where we have come from, where we have been, because that gives us an indication of the current moment and also where we're going to. And so that is what went through my mind. And we must know the history of a thing. We must know the name of a thing. And these histories and these stories are so important to be told truthfully, honestly, equitably. And we look at history and how it's being told and from what perspective. And a true representation of the history in the past is we must take into account, yes, factual, moments in history and time. It's like, okay, you were born at this time, on this day, in this hospital, and your parents were, Jan and Dan or whatever. We have these things which are immutable, unchangeable. And then we have perceptions of what happens over time. And it depends on who's telling the story. And there is a very valuable part of history which has not been being told in the media most recently. And we must remember what has been done, whether it is from the times of slavery and stealing whole peoples and nations and dragging them to another country to build a whole new country, or whether it is the genocide of the Jews by Hitler, or the genocide of the indigenous Americans by the United States at the time, and Britain, colonial times. All of that must be remembered, of what happened, of the harms that were done, so that we can continue to tell the stories, not to enrage, but to remember with humility, so we don't repeat the same mistakes again. That is the only way to grow in this world. And so I want to share with you this. You can read the remote viewing that I posted on the universalrainbowfaith.org website, bottom of the page, for homepage. We have all the blogs. And I decided actually to write a short book, an essay. It's about 100 pages with some artwork which will be coming out, including a proclamation and some prayers for healing. And I believe that this is the enlightened worldview that we must be moving towards, an inclusive healing space where we are loving and respecting one another with the utmost dignity and grace and compassion that we are all deserving of. And so our proclamation opening, the roots of terror and the soul of a nation. Who is the terrorist? Is it the one who picks up a weapon in desperation, or the one who plants the seeds of despair? Terrorism does not begin with the blast of a bomb, my friends, or the cry of a martyr. It begins long before, with greed, with empire, with the lust for control disguised as modernization. It begins when one nation enters another's land, not to help, but to take its oil, its water, its people, its resources, its spirit. The tragedy of Iran and much of the Middle East did not begin in 1979 with the Ayatollah Khomeini. It did not begin with the hostage crisis or the nuclear standoff or the chance of death to America, which we have been hearing. It began in 1901 with the signing of the secretive deal between William Knox d'Arcy, British millionaire, and Mozaffar al-Din Shah, the monarch of Persia at the time, for the promise of wealth that he would never live to see. And the Shah sold 60 years of exclusive oil rights that belonged not to him but to the Persian people. And so by 1908, the first well was drilled in Masjid Solman, and the slow bleed of the nation began. And in my vision, I had seen these holes in the ground, and I believe that was for the drilling, and also of the missiles and the destruction, and also the pollution of the vast underground springs that actually Iran or Persia was known for, these beautiful hanging gardens. And so instead of improving lives, we extracted lifeblood. Instead of forming partnerships, we imposed puppets. Instead of healing, we inflicted wounds so deep they reshaped governments, religions, and the destiny of millions for years to come. We did not come to uplift. We came to own. So we have sown the seeds of today's violence through decades of theft, sanctions, coups, and manufactured wars. And that is the truth, and that is real. It is not a manufactured history. It is a lived experience of the Iranian people and of us and of Britain and all of those who were involved. So we colonized with charm, but we bombed with righteousness and built empires on the backs of enslaved Africans, the genocide of indigenous Americans, and the endless taking from others, all while calling ourselves exceptional. And that is the only sin and abomination that there is, if we want to call it that. Wrong thinking and the spiritual malady and spiritual sickness of selfishness, and self-seeking and fear. And so this soul sickness of greed is visible today. When we call on Canada and Mexico to join us, not by invitation, but through imperial vision, when we threaten to take Greenland because it is in our national interest, so it was said, and when we drill sacred lands and protected wilderness in our own backyard for profit, when we believe the minerals of Ukraine and the oil of Iraq or the waters of Iran and natural gas are somehow ours to access, to secure, and to claim. When we support efforts to control Gaza, not to rebuild, but to brand it, selling dreams of luxury resorts while its people live in rubble. Is this not economic colonization cloaked in capitalism? When we seek to dominate the Panama Canal, not to connect peoples, but to control trade routes for our own wealth and our own warships. When we threaten the Strait of Hormuz, not in the name of peace, but to assert power over one of the world's most vital arteries, risking conflict with nations whose dignity we have long denied. What spiritual disease makes us believe that we are entitled to take without equity, to consume without consequence? Its name is selfishness, self-seeking, and fear, my friends. The trinity of empire, unjust empire. And so, what happens when we refuse to remember this story and other stories, which we see being removed all across the country throughout the federal government level and websites, and in school books of our children? When we rewrite history to make ourselves look better or erase it altogether, what do we call that? Well, that too, my friends, is a form of violence. And that too is a sin. When we distort the past, we not only dishonor the dead, we endanger the living. We raise generations in ignorance, and ignorance becomes the breeding ground for new injustice. We create myths instead of accountability, and those myths become weapons. To forget is to forfeit the future. To lie is to guarantee repetition. Let me repeat that. To forget is to forfeit the future. To lie is to guarantee repetition. So we cannot and must not erase history, not in Iran, not in Israel, not in America. We must preserve it, teach it truthfully, and approach it with humility, my friends. Not to wallow in shame. We're not here to shame or guilt anyone, but to ensure the transgressions of the past are never repeated. This proclamation is written to confront that truth, to name what has been done, and to say with honesty and moral courage, we are reaping what we have sown. But there is still time. Time to reckon, time to repair, time to restore. This is not a declaration of guilt. It is a call to spiritual healing for America, for Iran, for all nations entangled in a legacy of imperial ambition. Let the truth be known, not to shame, but to set us free. And let this be our turning point. And I present this to all of you to share, to get this message out to your local news, to in social media influencers, to the papers and the radio and to the news outlets. I think that this is of paramount importance that we put this whole story and what we're seeing now in perspective of our moral right and spiritual right, and the necessity for us to be the change we desire to see in the world. No one is coming to save us. No one is coming to stop the senseless bombing and killing of innocent people. That would be all people. If we do not tell the truth and tell the story and to remember what is the original cause, there is an original cause and there is an effect. And we are living in that effect now. And we have been a part of that cause, along with Britain and with many others, as what we're seeing happen in the Middle East and what we call so-called terrorists. Anyone would be so enraged and so filled with hatred if another country or another group or tribe came and started killing and taking of our resources. Look what happened in the American Revolution. And I'm sure that we said the same things about the British so many years ago. So we have to be aware of what our actions, what consequences they have. And all we have to do is look at this situation and ask, was this done in equanimity? Was this done in fairness? Were the people of Iran lifted up? And were they able to enjoy the profit of their rich resources to enrich their country and their people and to raise them out of poverty? No, that didn't happen. The Shahs were very powerful and rich, the United States and the Anglo-Iranian oil company, which later became BP, and many wealthy families were involved, the Astors and the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and the oil barons, all became very wealthy, billionaires, while the people of Iran suffered and lived impoverished lives. That is not fair. Not there, would not be fair here or anywhere, and it's not because of a bad deal. It's because of greed, and that should have never happened. So, Iran Reconciliation Proclamation, a call to global acknowledgement and healing. Inspired in the spirit of justice, truth, and sacred restoration. Preamble. A century of unaccounted harm. Since the discovery of oil in 1908, Iran has been subjected to one of the most egregious and enduring violations of sovereignty and dignity in modern history. The legacy of colonial exploitation, regime manipulation, and spiritual desecration has left deep scars on the land and its people. What was once the heart of an ancient civilization, Persia, became a pawn in the global game of empire and extraction. We issue this proclamation not only as a statement of historical record, but as a sacred invitation to those responsible, individuals, corporations, and governments, to come forward in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. Recognition of harms. We recognize the following key acts of harm committed against Iran and its people. The 1901 DRC oil concession negotiated under inequitable terms that allowed British interests, later Anglo-Persian Oil Company, then BP, to control Iran's oil for 60 plus years, returning less than 20% of profits to Iran. The 1953 CIA and MI6-backed coup overthrowing the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mosaddegh, ending Iran's brief hope for secular democracy and economic sovereignty. The installment in support of the Shah regime, 1953 to 1979, a brutal autocracy characterized by censorship, torture, and the enrichment of the ruling elite, backed and armed by Western governments. Ongoing sanctions and destabilizing policies, including economic warfare that harmed civilians, encouraged isolation, and undermined Iranian civil society. Military aggression and proxy warfare, including the U.S. backing of Iraq and the Iran-Iraq War, leading to over 1 million deaths. Cultural erasure and propaganda, misrepresentation of Iran and its people in global media, contributing to Islamophobia, racism, and misunderstanding of a deeply spiritual and intellectual nation. Entities responsible. We call upon the following parties to issue formal public apologies and initiate reparative action: the government of the United Kingdom, the government of the United States of America, the Central Intelligence Agency and MI6, BP, formerly Anglo-Persian Oil Company, the Pahlavi dynasty and surviving members, international arms manufacturers and profiteers, Western media conglomerates complicit in misinformation, and all of the families that profited from all of the oil from 1901 until 1979. What now must be done? We recognize that we cannot undo the past, but we can address its consequences and choose to repair what has been broken. We therefore proclaim and recommend the following action: public apologies from all named parties acknowledging specific acts of harm, exploitation, and interference, declassification of relevant archives to make public the truth of Iran's stolen democracy, manipulated leadership, and suppressed voices, equitable oil reparations, commit a percentage of BP's annual profits to global reparations fund benefiting Iranian civil society, education, and ecological restoration, support for Iranian democracy and civil rights, not regime change, but cultural diplomacy, technology access and protection for activists, women, artists, and scholars, cultural recognition, a global campaign honoring Persian contributions to poetry, mathematics, medicine, and spiritual traditions, interfaith and diplomatic dialogues, facilitated by neutral parties and spiritual organizations rooted in mutual respect, historical truth, and moral clarity. And why this matters for the world. Iran's story is not isolated, my friends. It is a mirror reflecting the cost of empire, the danger of interventionism, and the urgent need for spiritual reckoning. It is also a light, a reminder of what still flickers in the human heart: the desire for justice, peace, and dignity. This proclamation is not anti-Western. It is anti-violence, anti-colonialism, and anti-denial. It is pro-peace. By honoring the truth of Iran's past, we create a future where global diplomacy is not built on dominion, but on repentance, cooperation, and healing. A closing prayer. We ask, may those who were harmed be remembered. May those who caused harm be transformed. May those who still suffer be heard. May oil no longer be more sacred than life itself. May the gardens of Persia bloom again. May truth be honored above pride. And may this proclamation be not the end of our words, but the beginning of our action. Amen. Ishna Allah. So may it be. And our vision of healing, a global invocation of apology and restoration of peace. This was from the Taizé service today, a new remote viewing and meditation and inspiration that was received during this very special time of spoken word, music, and then silence. And this is what I received in the silence and what I focused on today. A moment beyond time, 3 leaders in a circle. In sacred stillness during today's Taizé service at Unity, I entered a state of deep remote viewing and spiritual alignment. Before me emerged a powerful vision, 3 global leaders, each representing the heart of their nation, Iran, Israel, and the United States, standing together in a circle. Trump, Netanyahu, and the Ayatollah Khomeini. Their hearts and minds were connected. Each one spoke the same truth. I am sorry for what I have done. We are sorry, and we desire to make this right. In that moment, I stood among them, not as one nation, but as a spiritual bridge. I connected their body, mind, and spirit in sacred balance. The symbols of healing I used through Reiki and Feng Shui for the earth. I placed Reiki symbols into the soil at the original site of the first oil drilling deal in Iran, a sacred undoing of harm. This act was done in the spirit of equanimity for all concerned. The symbols of the Bagua and the eternal Tao were laid in energy, rebalancing what was broken. Where greed once struck the earth, healing light was returned, placing the Chokure, the Seihiki, and the Hanshizashozen symbols within the United States, at the White House, within the government, within Iran, within Israel, creating a holy trinity and triangle of healing. The oil and the water became visible, not as resources to be conquered, but as sacred elements to be respected. And then the healing had begun. In this spiritual vision, the healing of the Middle East became a global event. It was not just the leaders who spoke, the people of the world stood beside them. We apologized to Iran. We acknowledged the theft, the deception, the erasure of truth. We begin the work of reparations. We restore what was lost, to reconcile, to truly heal. Across the sands of the region, across timelines and histories, the invocation and forgiveness and accountability echoed. Ho'oponopono, making things right. Ancient wisdom emerged as I saw the words pono pono. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. This sacred chant was sung from the soul to soul as the people of Iran and Israel sat across from each other. They held each other's gaze. They accepted. They loved. They cried. They forgave together. Then the vision expanded. Angels surrounded the entire planet. Their wings shimmered with hopefulness. Their presence spanned time and space. This was no longer a regional prayer, but a cosmic healing story unfolding before us. A river of clean crystal water emerged, forming a triangle between the three nations. It flowed upward, defying gravity, and became a beautiful, fast-moving river. And then the rain came back down upon the earth. Each drop was a rainbow droplet of love, cosmically falling from the universe. This nourished the soil, cleaned the past, and then it healed the heart of all of humanity. A living proclamation. And so as we take that in, as you take that image in, that is what I saw today. What I used my time in meditation to visualize and what came to me in the spiritual realm. We say that this document is a living transmission now. It is a call to all people, all governments, all spiritual leaders, to honor the truth, to apologize for greed and violence, to make amends through restoration and reparation, to step into sacred stewardship of the earth and one another. The vision is clear. We must become the love that heals the world. So let this be our beginning, friends. As we take this in, breathing this in, and holding that, breathing out. And we say, Aho, Amen, Insha'Allah, Shalom, so may it be. And that is a special reading and proclamation I have just for today's service. It really could be our entire service, but we still have more. And I think what's going to happen is that somehow is perfectly merging with where we're at, and that's what we will close with. And so our title today, beyond our proclamation, is Wholeness in the Fire and Becoming Ourselves Fully. There are moments when the world tries to define us by its own terms, by labels, judgments, and fears it projects. But the path of spiritual transformation does not ask us to fit into the molds created by others. It asks us to burn them away. Like gold refined in fire, we come to understand that the sacred flame does not destroy us, it reveals us. Every hardship we've endured, every injustice we've faced, and every attempt to dim our light becomes part of our becoming. This week's passage from the Nature of Miracles: when you trust what's within you, really trust it, you stop begging the world to define you. You become free, and we become free. So many of us have been told that we're broken, that who we are is something to be corrected or silenced or erased. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if who we really are is already whole? And is it the lies that must be burned away? Wholeness does not come from perfection. It comes from presence, from being willing to stand in the fire of life and say, here I am, I'm not hiding anymore. And I invite you into that space, into your presence of being, to now stand in the fire of life as it is all around us in this country and in the world, and to say to the world, here I am, the real truth of who I am, my greatest spiritual identity, my greatest purpose, my greatest gift, my greatest love, and I am not hiding this anymore from the world, because the world needs you. The world needs it. And so just let us ask. I ask you now, what parts of ourselves have we hidden to survive? What part of yourself have you hidden to survive in this world? Let's think about that for a moment. For myself, when I first started my beauty business many years ago in 2002, I was really afraid to let it be truly authentically me in my spiritual practice. Coming from Los Angeles, living in Las Vegas, I kind of brought this new age, hippie kind of vibe to, here to Vegas, which was really actually quite conservative. And it was very Mormon as well, and very, there was a lot of, it was very controlled. We have a big Mormon population here, very conservative actually. You wouldn't think that being Las Vegas with boozing and drinking and gambling and all of these things, but it was. And so for me, I remember when I stepped out on faith and when I created the business, and in my logo, I put A Harmony Nail Spa, a spiritual nail experience, nails with a conscience. And what does that mean? This is like 2002. And it had a silver star with a rainbow shooting out, and it was really the rainbow of hope, and also for our chakras and spirituality. Of course, it means other things too. We have our beautiful rainbow as well. But so it's really all encompassing and greatly spiritual. And I would have people come to my business and shop and be like, oh, do you do tarot, or do you do this and you do that? And they would ask questions, well, what is channel writing, and what are card readings, and all these things. And then they would say things, well, I'm Christian, I don't do that, I can't see that. And it was so strange. It was, something as simple as having all these beautiful cards. I have this deck of cards called the angelic messenger cards, or universal cards, which we sell here. All they have is words on them, beautiful words like peace and hope and light and laughter. And you tell me, how is that somehow a sin or against God or Jesus or whoever they were claiming it to be, to, ask a question and pick up a card? Who am I asking that question to? I'm going within to access my own intuitive guidance. What is a prayer? Who we're praying to? So nothing inherently evil or wrong or terrible or sinful about that, but someone had impressed their views upon it. And so, there was a great trepidation to having that kind of roll out into my business. So that was something for me that was, a bit hidden for a while until I decided to be fully myself, fully me. And still, it took many years, and I've had pushback too from people. And then also living as a transgendered woman as well. I transitioned when I was 19. I went to beauty school. I went to college. I had jobs. I did all these things. My ID and gender, all of that was changed many, many years ago. And I've been very fortunate to just live my life. And it was never really an issue. It was never really a thing. I did not get so deeply involved with political, movements and things like that. I would be helpful to the community. I would do things at the center. I would do things for, transgender events when I could, and I had many LGBTQ clients as well. But I still just lived kind of quietly, and part of that was for safety as well. There was still a lot of violence happening in our community, and so that is part of myself that I hid to survive. And my next question I ask of you is, what would it feel like to bring them into the light? What part of yourself right now have you been hiding to survive? And what would it feel to bring them into the light? For me, I was very concerned about, being very open about being transgendered in the early years of my business. And I did protect it because of the vast amount of discrimination I could have faced, which I did face some, but how much worse it would be financially and in other ways, economically. And so many of us had to do what we needed to do to survive, or be forced to live on the streets and be destitute. In so many ways, it could really lead to that, and it has for many in our community. And so, in the past years, though, I've become more forward and center. It's not like I'm just going to get a T-shirt with a big T on it and be like, hey, although there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, wonderful. We have people in our community doing that. But just to have dignity and respect and to value ourselves, that is important. That is what it means to bring it into the light, that there is no shame or there's no guilt, and we do not have to justify our existence to anybody. But we do have to be mindful to be safe and to be careful with our very lives, because our lives could be in danger in some moments. And so just take that in a moment and just ask yourself, what is it that you have been hiding to survive? And what would that feel like for you to bring that to light? And finally, where have we mistaken pain for proof of brokenness, when in truth it was proof of transformation? And so something that was maybe a sense of shame and guilt and brought you intense pain and suffering and made you feel broken. That maybe all these people are right. Maybe your family was right. Maybe those friends of yours were right, those so-called friends. Maybe the government was right. Maybe transgender people are suffering from insanity. Oh, maybe it's a sin and abomination. We're going to go to some hell and burn in eternal damnation and hellfire forever and ever with the greatest suffering, just for being you, for expressing yourself with your name, your gender, your identity, choosing who you love, or how that, it's not even choosing, it's who you love. Whatever clothes you choose to wear, however you choose to style your hair, to have it long or short, or wear makeup or wear none. To not fit into tiny little boxes that society and the world says, you must fit into this. We can only accept you if you fit into this nice, neat little package in which we must have you in. as a male or female. There is no such thing as in between or non-binary or gender non-conforming. There's no such thing as transgender. We don't accept that because those are sin and abominations. But if you would just fit into this box for us, we will love you and we will accept you. And if you will believe as we do in this religious figure, in this way of life, we will love you and we will accept you. But if you do not, you are shunned. We will harm you. We will kill you. We will murder you. You will be raped and murdered. You'll be left for dead. You will be imprisoned. You will be excluded from the tribe. You will be disowned and thrown away because you do not fit in this little box, which makes us feel so good and so comfortable because that's the box we live in. Is that you? Have you thought because of that and that being imposed upon you, this domination by others, so well-meaning? They say, we're doing this because we love you, but yet they harm you and they hurt you and they don't even know it. And they believe they're doing good, their self-righteousness. And now you have felt broken and wrong. My friends, the truth is, all of that only means this is the proof of yours, mine, yours and our transformation to become our most authentic and most beautiful self that this world so desperately needs. Because guess what? Here's the box. The box is broken open. There's no box. We don't need a box. We don't need to fit into someone's conception and perception of who we are supposed to be, because we did not come into this world to be what someone else desires us to be. We came to be the fullest expression of our soul that's inside. We came to do what it is that we are meant to do, to love and to be and to live in joy and peace and to be a beautiful demonstration of God's vast imagination for creating a variety of humans. That is the truth, my friends. So let us take that pain and that feeling of brokenness and that shame and guilt, what was there, and let us know that that is proof that we have been burned in the fires and that we have been transformed and reborn. And that is proof of our spiritual transformation. We are like the phoenix, and we're rising from the ashes and showing the beauty of the creation, that we are something totally new and totally wonderful and totally beautiful. And there is no shame and guilt in that. There is complete power and dominion over oneself. So, as we're closing out our Pride Month, let this be the time to embrace our wholeness. Let this be the moment that you stop asking the world for permission to be you. And let this be the fire that frees you now once and for all. And our affirmation, repeat after me. I am not broken. I am becoming. I am not broken. I am becoming. And so let us just take that in and all that we have discussed into our time of meditation. And our new meditation today, the sacred flame within. I walk through shadows, I face my fight, but through the dark, I found my light. Each step I took, I shed my shame. Okay, well actually that is our new song that we're going to hear right after our meditation. So let us go into our meditation. And so just take a moment, find a comfortable position, let your shoulders drop, let your jaw unclench, let your heart soften. Take a deep, slow breath in and gently let it go. Again, breathe in light and exhale tension, knowing that you are safe, you are sacred, and you are here on purpose. Now imagine at the very center of your being a small flame, golden, steady, warm. It lives beneath your ribs, behind your heart. This is the sacred flame within. It is the truth of who you are, untouched by judgment, unafraid of change, unmoved by the world's confusion. Breathe into that flame, now seeing it glowing brighter with each breath. Feel now its warmth reach your throat, your fingertips. You feel planted firmly on the earth. This fire is older than fear. It has burned through shame, through silence, through every no you've ever turned into a yes. It cannot be put out. It is the divine in you. The voice of your soul, the core of your truth. When you trust what's within you, really trust it, you stop begging the world to define you. You become free. Let those words echo through your chest. Feel what it means to become free, not because the world gave you permission, but because your soul remembered. Now let us go deeper. With each breath, the flame grows. It burns away every label placed on you that never fit. It consumes shame, guilt, and fear, transforming them into clarity, compassion, courage. Let the fire rise. It is not destructive. It is transformative. It brings wholeness. It reveals your divine shape. It reminds you that nothing is missing. And we affirm, I am fire. I am light. I am love. I am not broken. I am becoming. I trust the sacred within me. I am already whole. My flame is my guide. My light is my truth. Now breathe gently. Feel the warmth of your own presence. Know that this light goes with you. It will rise when you speak the truth. It will glow when you choose love. It will glow brighter and brighter every day. It will shelter you when the winds blow harsh. You are the light. You are the flame. You are the miracle. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Carry this flame into your day, into your choices, into your world. Feel yourself coming back to this place and time, feeling the seat that you're in and where you are at, becoming aware of the space around you and others around you. And let us just contemplate and take that in as we listen to this week's special music, Sacred Flame Within, which you can see on our YouTube page under our secret music.
I walk through shadows, I face my fight, but through the dark, I found my light. Each step I took, I shed my chains. Now in the hope, my spirit reigns. The whispers fade, I hear my call, and now I rise, I will not fall. Wholeness in the fire, burning bright, lifting higher. No more fear, no more masks. I'm enough, that's all God asks. The world once told me love's a game, but now I dance. I am flame through every scar. I found my grace with open arms. I claim this space. The mirror shows my heart's awake. In every choice, my truth I made. Wholeness in the fire, burning bright, lifting higher. No more fear, no more masks. I'm enough, that's all God asks. Yes, I am whole, I am the flame. I walk in love, I claim my name. With every breath, my spirit sings. In every heart, the hope it brings.
And thank you for joining us today with our new music, The Sacred Flame Within. And now is our time for our children's message. And to all of our children and youth and teens and young adults who are watching, we say to you, you're already whole just as you are. And our affirmation, as we say it together, I shine just the way I'm made. I shine just the way I'm made, and so it is. And we have our time for tithing and offering. Remember, when you give from your light, you multiply it. You can donate at universalrainbowfaith.org on our donate tab at the top of the homepage. You can also send a check or cashier's check or money order to our Las Vegas location. Our address is on our website. And let us hold our contributions in our hands, on whatever it is that you're giving, a digital contribution or by mail, as we affirm, I give in faith and I receive in fullness. I give in faith and I receive in fullness. And please know that these services are brought to you completely by your charitable contributions and your support of this growing ministry for our LGBTQ community and allies, and especially for our transgender brothers and sisters and all within the transgender community, that we are here for you to help protect you from religious oppression and discrimination through our letters that we offer when you become a member. You can receive your letters of religious exemption for your gender identity and expression, your name, whatever it is that you're wearing and however that you are, in all public places, including at the federal government level, and in all schools, colleges, for our children and youth as well. And if anyone tries to take that away from you, it will be an act of religious discrimination. And so we have many fronts in order to move forward on for protection, for your sacred and spiritual right to be who you are and to be authentically you. And our closing blessing today, our final affirmation, my wholeness is sacred, my journey is divine. And please enjoy our closing song, Embracing Togetherness, and stick around afterwards. I'll do my best to be able to message with you and see your messages on TikTok and on Facebook as well, and on YouTube. So for our minister Q&A. And tonight, our service, we went a little bit longer because we had that special proclamation. I hope you enjoyed everything today. I invite you back to come next week and to enjoy all that we are doing together and the beautiful spiritual community that we are building.
In every color we unite, together we shine, bring the light. Through stormy weather, through the pain, with open hearts we'll break the chains. It's you and me, we'll stand so tall in the rainbow's embrace, we'll never fall. Hand in hand, we'll share this dream, a tapestry of love woven at the seams. With every hue, our voice is strong, together as one, where we all belong. It's you and me, we'll rise above, in the rainbow's embrace, we spread our love. In every corner of the earth we sing, a symphony of hope that unity brings. With every color, let our love soar, together as one, forevermore.
Thank you and blessings, and thank you for joining us this week. We will see you next week. And stay tuned as we have our minister meet and greet. Let me come around and just turn the orientation here so we can see you on Facebook. Hello. Hello, everybody. We are so glad that you are here. We hope that you have enjoyed our service. Okay. And so here we go, and welcome. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Hello on TikTok. I'm not sure if you're able to actually message. And okay, so today was very special, and I'm really grateful to be able to share with all of you and to create this digital archive and this digital library of these services. And for me, it's very special to be able to share my talents and my gifts with you. And my remote viewing sessions are incredibly accurate. They're full of symbols and symbolism, and also sometimes very direct and very active information for what's needed in the moment. Everything from my remote viewing of the COVID-19 time in September of 2020, I had a powerful remote viewing experience. You can read that story on universalrainbowfaith.org. And when you read it, I want you to know that that information I received in September 2020. By December of 2020, I had received confirmation of a name that I saw, of a doctor, and a situation which I could not have known about, that actually you could say came true, or that I saw it before it happened. Someone that was in grave danger, a doctor in Russia who ended up being murdered, who I didn't know, and they were working on a COVID-19 vaccine. So the whole story has been released online. Now, at the time, I really could not do much with that information. That was a very delicate time in the country. And, you know, what are you going to do with that kind of information? Am I going to go to the CIA, the FBI, the Homeland Security? Because at the time Trump was in office. And what am I going to say? Oh, by the way, I did a remote viewing session. I saw that there was a research scientist in danger. And the people that were in the room, there was our president, there was a 4-star general of the Air Force, there was a representative from China, Ukraine, and Russia. And I didn't know who these other people were because I don't really follow politics like that, so I couldn't tell you their faces. But if I did, I would absolutely be able to tell you who each of them were. But I just knew they were in a meeting unbeknownst to our own government at the time, and there was a classified document on the table that read COVID-19 classified, top secret, NWO. It's New World Order. And there's much more to that. I don't want to go into all of that because today you got to experience some of what I do as a spiritual practice, which is relevant to the universal rainbow faith, in that I'm bringing here all of my spiritual abilities and intuitive capacities and tools into this moment, into this movement, in order to benefit not only the LGBTQ community, but spiritual principle and teachings and intuition go far beyond that. It is universal, truly, and goes beyond all religion and all faith. And if you look across millennia, you will always find those who have tried to share in love and sometimes and in warning what they know, what they see, only to find out later, sometimes decades or hundreds of years later, or much later, that they were completely accurate and they were bringing messages which were so vital to the world at the moment. And so, we have folks living on the planet who are highly intuitive, who sense and know, not only can see the greater picture of what's happening in the world, but they have the sense of empathy and understanding, and also able to go into the spiritual realm and see what's happening behind the scenes, see what's happening literally within, you could say, the consciousness of the entire human experience. And for me, that is something that I have held very close for many, many years, and I've only shared with a very limited amount of people. I've utilized it in my Reiki healing and practice that I do with clients, and in my very intimate writings, which I have shared in my book, The Nature of Miracles. And you will sense and read some of this in The Nature of Miracles, which is volume 1 on Amazon online. This was inspired after 9/11. And the only reason why this book exists is because I saw it in a dream. I wrote about it, and then I began the process, and I was directed and guided to create this in order to help facilitate healing that was needed within the Middle East at the time. Of course, that's what was happening, and within our country and within the world. And so this is a journey of spiritual awakening filled with prayers, meditations, affirmations, and healing that was needed then and needed now. And we can see that of what's happening in the news. So my friends, I'm just grateful that you stuck with us today. I hope that there was something that you gleaned that you can take with you, that's going to help you and your family and your friends, and for you to bring out your gifts that this planet needs right now, especially to hone in on your spiritual and intuitive gifts. So I have decided to share more and more of my spiritual gifts and tools that I use, like remote viewing. And now I have released, I think, 3 of my remote viewing sessions online. And my most recent, between Trump, Netanyahu, and the Ayatollah, is, I believe, extremely accurate. It led me to research the real truth of Iran in the past 120 years, which I didn't know about. Had I really paid attention more in school and listened in world history and history class, maybe I would have learned a little bit more, retained some of that. But that's okay, because we can research, we can look, and we can know. And some of the things I saw, I couldn't possibly know about. I didn't know about the vast gardens of Persia, the hanging gardens, and the beautiful springs, and all of the water that they have. So, I saw a lot, and it was very disturbing and very frightening and very sad. It's very sad where we are at right now in this time. We're living in 2025, and it's so sad that we have a vast ability to love and to create and to build beautiful societies and towns and cities and build up these beautiful communities. And we have an equal power to destroy. And with that comes great responsibility. We also have to know that each of us are individually accountable and responsible for all of our actions. And the actions that I take today, for instance, I came here with the intention to share, to uplift, to inform, and to raise up and to heal and be a facilitator of healing, of my ongoing development and awakening, and yours as well, rather than coming with hatred and venom and anger and fear. We really have a long ways to go, and it's really hard to live in a world where we have such death and destruction and violence. And we have to ask ourselves, who's responsible for that? We want to blame everyone and everything. For me, I sometimes I think of it, I've talked about kind of the difference between, the light and the dark, or good and evil, if you will, and we talk about it in terms of, religions talk about it in terms of, kind of what is sin. Sin is actually an archery term that means missing the mark. And so, are we hitting the mark of our chosen ideals? Are we practicing the golden rule? And how do we move from this death and destruction and what has happened? How do we move from the suffering and the violence of millennia, of thousands of years that we see also playing out now? We're not, necessarily using swords and horses anymore. Now it's missiles and nuclear bombs and germ warfare and very sophisticated software, cyber attacks and things like that. It is something new and different for this world and this time to be contemplating and figuring out what we're going to do. And I will tell you that each and every one of us is responsible. You may not think that you have any power to make the change, but every loving act of kindness is a step in the right direction. And it's really sad. We have so many people in our country and around the world that look at places like Iran and Iraq and places in the Middle East, and there is so much anger and animosity. And we want to blame them. They are the cause of the world's problems. So easy to push it off. Well, and they want to, everyone is saying, well, they just want to kill America and death to Americans and all of this. But who caused that? Was it always that way? No. It was not always that way, and we are accountable. So that is where we're at, my friends. And I know that the spiritual work that we're doing here, and that the love that has been shared and generated and is now online, hopefully, for whoever knows how long the internet will be here for all of us. Maybe this will end up in a printed book somewhere that will go on living. But there is an energy imprint, an energy that we have placed into this time together. And that must be the healing. And we really must move beyond all of these intense and terrible labels that we have placed and untruths about the past, that we're so ignorant to our own history. And the young people today and the people of today, we can't remember to 1950 hardly, right? Or 1908, because we can hardly remember yesterday. So we need to keep the forefront of our mind. It kind of reminds me of what we do in 12-step recovery. I've been sober for 22 years, and for 22 years, At each meeting I go to, which I go to like 3 a week still, we read the same thing over and over again. We read a preamble, and we read how it works, and we read a vision for you, and we read all these readings, the traditions. And why? Why do we have to read the same thing over and over and over again? Well, at least in 12-step recovery, they say the alcoholic has a very short memory and can't remember, so we got to keep telling ourselves. And then on top of reading the same things over and over, we share our stories over and over again, hundreds or thousands of times over many years. Why? Why would we need to share? Why would I need to share my story over and over and over again of my last drink and what happened and what it was like and how long I've been sober and what have I done to achieve that and maintain that? Well, I'll tell you why. The reason is we have quick forgetters. We forget. And it has to get in here, and it has to get in here. And the only way to do that is from repetition. And we know that repetition, we can retain it and we learn it, and it becomes integrated into ourselves, and it becomes who we are, and it never changes. Now, if you tell a lie enough times, you may believe it after a while. But as we, as in 12-step recovery, we share that story for the newest of the new sufferer who is unawakened to their own tragedy of their own illness, which is killing them. And they are dying. They are dying from fear. They are dying from resentment. They are dying from their addiction. And so we become a ray of hope, an ray of light. And we tell the story. And also to remind ourselves, we never want to return to that place again. I never want to return to what it was like when I had my last drink when I was 26 years old. A place of complete desperation and unmanageability and hopelessness. So I tell my story over and over again when I have the opportunity so that I don't forget. And that's the same with what we did here today. That is the same with the proclamation. That is the same with the story. We're not here to erase that. If I never told my story again and stopped going to meetings and stopped trying to help those who are suffering, I too would slide back into what it used to be like, and I would think once again, it's okay, I could drink again. The same thing with our global community, with what we're doing in the United States. If we don't tell the stories and the truth about slavery, about the Indian American War, about the War of Independence, about all of these things that happen and the causes of that, what led up to that, and what we're doing not to repeat these tragedies once again, we must tell the truth. So that is my message for you today. I thank you. I bless you for sticking with me on this journey. And my greatest hope and desire is to see, and we affirm the healing in the Middle East and the United States and all over this world, because we so desperately need it now. We need a healing because there is a revolution that's happening. And the revolution is between those who are spiritually awake and conscious, working to make this world a better place, and for those who are not quite there yet. They are still asleep. They are lost. They are afraid. They are angry. And they are hurting, and they will take that out on the rest of the world if we are not there to hold them, to love them, to tell them it's going to be okay, and that we could heal and we can move beyond. So thank you, and we will see you next week. And it is my honor and blessing to be here with you. Namaste.